Hi, I'm Lorna, coming to you from my studio, The Nest, in Hampshire in England. These are the three little miniatures called Lavender that I've created for Stitch magazine. In each I've used a different stitch technique, going from the very simple, this little one, the heart, I've used Detached Chain. In the second one here I've used Bullions stitch, which gives you a slightly more textured effect. And in the last I've used Drizzle Stitch, which gives you the most textured effect of the lot. It's a raised surface embroidery stitch. The three little miniatures can be used as a brooch pin by adding a pin to the back, as a little magnetized piece of embroidery which you can put up on your fridge, or simply add a piece of ribbon and through the screw at the top and create a little necklace to go with your favorite outfit. So here I have in front of me what I call my doodle cloth or practice cloth, on which I experiment both with colour and with stitches whenever I'm working a new design. I deliberately chosen a darker colour for the lavender than the one used in the magazine, just to show you the contrast and the difference. It also makes my demonstrating easier for you to see. The Lazy Daisy or the Detached Chain stitch is the one that I've used in this first stem here. I've stitched the three stems with the three different lavender types on them. This is very small and dainty in accordance with them being miniatures. I've created a bigger stitch further down in order to be able to demonstrate. I'm using a crewel needle or an embroidery needle. So I bring it through the fabric and I go through down next to where I came up and create a stitch. Now I'm going to do that much longer than I would there, but that's in order for you to see clearly. So there I've got my stitch, and because it's lavender I'm pulling it a little bit more tightly, enter the fabric, go back down to the bottom, come up just below your stitch that you've completed, into the fabric again, come up about 2/3 of the way through, create a second loop and couch that one down inside the top of the first stitch, and don't pull that too tight, just ease it so that it forms your little, and there you've got the double. Obviously when it's small like this it becomes much more textured, and the secret here is to not pull too tightly with your second stitch so that it lies on the top, and then you get that lovely effect. So you can see I've done one at the top, which is just a single one, and then I've done the doubles to either side. And then we move on to the next one, which is the bullion stitch, which for some people it can be their nemesis, but I love it. It's not a difficult stitch, and once you get your eye in and get the feel for it, it can easily become a favorite stitch. So I'm deliberately making quite a big stitch here. This is what we call our bar. So I've come up through the fabric. I forgot to mention, I'm using the milliner's needle. Here I use the crewel embroidery needle. Now I'm using a milliner's, which is even in length all the way down the needle, sorry, in width. So that makes it much easier to stitch with when you're doing this type of stitch. So come back up through, right next to where you went, where you came up through the fabric. So I've formed what we call the bar. So pick up your thread, and I'm just going to turn my work. Pull the needle about 3/4 of the way through, take the thread behind, I bring my forefinger to the front, and then I'm going to be wrapping around the needle. So your first stitch, get it right down to the surface of the fabric and then wrap. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you always do slightly more than the actual length of the bar. So take it across, in this case to my left side because I'm right-handed, and I've been wrapping clockwise. If I was left-handed, I'd be wrapping anti-clockwise and taking the thread across to my right hand. So just gently ease that through, pull it through, and you'll see there I've got a leg. That's simply this stitch, this thread here. So you want to pull that gently with your thumbnail until it disappears, and then you go back into the fabric at the base of the stitch, and you've got this lovely bullion that's formed. Here in the actual on the actual lavender stem, I've got 5 wraps at the top, 4, 5 to either side, taking it up to 6, and you just build them in pairs. Notice that I'm working at a sort of 60 odd degree angle, so I'm not working so that they go out sideways. That's the most common mistake, so then it doesn't look realistic. Okay, so my third stitch is the Drizzle Stitch, which is a lovely raised textured stitch. It's actually loose on the surface, so you can either catch it down as I have at the tip or leave it freestanding. I'm working with my milliner's needle. I come up through the fabric. I go back down right next to where I came up. You can see, leave maybe a thread of the fabric away from where you came up. Trap your needle firmly at the back. Pull the thread out of the needle. I'm now going to be casting on. So I pick up, twist my wrist, and I enter into the front of the loop. So I'll do that again slowly. Pick up, I twist my wrist, roll it, and into the front of the stitch. 3, 4. So pick up, twist. I've opened it with my thumb, and I'm going into the front there. You can cast on as many as you like. For the drizzle, I've done 4, 5, and 6. So there. Some people like to twist it like that and then throw it over the top. I personally don't like that, but that's up to you. So pick up. It's the knitting, it's the finger casting on used by knitters. Pick it up, roll your wrist, go into the front, and then you've got the task of rethreading. So I'm just going to rethread that. Once I've taken it through, I then pull that down, just making sure that doesn't knot. And I've got my lovely little loop there. So that's what I've used here at the tip. So I suggest you experiment and play. You might find another stitch works for the lavender as well. So that's the tub, that's the spray, and that's the lavender heart. Enjoy stitching.